From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In today's recording, we go over the breaking news of all those incredible checks. The third stimulus MSC checks landing, fourth stimulus checks landing as well, and sixth and seventh heating up across the board. We'll go over all the breaking details in today's recording. Number one, the fourth stimulus $80,000 checks have landed, and I'll show you how the members have cleaned up. Get your pen and paper ready, $80,000 checks. Then we have new details about the Build Back Better Act in today's recording. A new push underway to get that Build Back Better Act done, and guess what? Because mortgage rates are surging to levels we've ever seen before in the history of this channel, and this could be the new way to get the Build Back Better Act passed. All the latest details across the board. Then we look at what's folding across the land as the president returns back from overseas. Guess what? New concerns about interest rates, and this is what is teeing up SS300. SS300 heating up, but a new twist today. Concerns about stagflation across the land. Will the Federal Reserve come too aggressively for this, or will it ease into those interest rates? This is to raise your benefits up $300 a lifetime. I have the huge details in today's recording. 7 stimulus heating up for a May 2nd deadline. For student loan debt forgiveness, it's huge, and I have the latest details in today's afternoon's recording. Then we look at that 6th stimulus package that heats up early April. The president with that trifecta between the progressives, Democrats, and also everything you need to know, lining up the oil solution, the wheat solution, and also the Vladimir Putin solution. All the latest details on that across the board. Then as the president returns to the United States, CR gets another whiff at the big push. And you need that because the situation folding dramatically across the land. We got a big recording with a lot of money today, folks. I'm excited for you, and a lot of breaking news. First, Joe Manchin saying he wants the Build Back Better Act to be passed very quickly. All his latest comments overnight. Number 2, Build Back Better getting a new push, and that new push is mortgage rates. And then 4th stimulus and 3rd stimulus paying out big new sums of money. Then, student loan debt forgiveness and 6th stimulus. It's a big afternoon's recording. And from the shores of Santa Monica, California, let's get to the breaking news and a preview of tonight's evening's LALATE in prime time at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. The details of the big money, everything you need to know, starts right now on Afternoons. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a big afternoon with incredible breaking news about your Build Back Better Act, fourth stimulus recon. Joe Manchin says he's ready to pass it. All the latest details on his comments in today's recording. And then, May 2nd tees up that 7th stimulus for student loan debt forgiveness. What will happen? All the breaking news on that. Will stagflation grow because of Jay Powell's pivot? And what is Joe Biden doing Monday morning or this week? It's huge, and guess what? It's all about SS300. It's breaking news, and it is the wealth tax. Wow. Then we look at 6th stimulus and the latest comments from the White House about China, wheat, oil, and more. And then, of course, the interest rate situation. The latest on Vladimir Putin and his impact on our economy and while the White House is getting that 6th stimulus passed. A lot of money and a lot of details. It's a preview of tonight's evening's LALATE in prime time. Huge broadcast. You don't want to miss it. 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's a special 1-hour report at 5 o'clock. I don't want you to miss it. Now let's go into that Build Back Better Act. First, we're going to go over the checks, and then we'll go over the breaking news, because there is a lot of breaking news from several fronts today on the Build Back Better Act. About $15,000 to $80,000 of checks pay out in that Build Back Better Act across 3 clauses and 3 add-ons. So let's look at them. Hazard pay got in there for my essential workers. 1 more year of the Earned Income Tax Credit. Congratulations. Then the CTC, 1 more year, $3,600. Home repairs if you live in a low-income community. They got $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 of care for young children, the $550 check for the college student, $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle, and other checks across the land. The first add-on of checks of 3 add-ons in the Build Back Better is less than $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. Huge. How do you get these checks? Tune in tonight to Evenings LA in prime time, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. In that second cluster, home repairs to weatherize your home and paid leave. Lots of money in there across the land. The second add-on of checks comes from Bob Casey, just a little bit less than $250 billion of free home health care for seniors on disabilities. Then in cluster number 3, free internet for all checks, farmers checks, independent contractors checks, and seniors gain lots of checks, no less than half a dozen. Dental, vision, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, and then the Medicaid gap fix, and of course, hearing as well, which is par for the course when we're talking about adding checks to the recon. The other checks that would be added, the third add-on of checks, of course, is MSC. The legislators represent, they're added in there. This is an IRS automatic MSC check that would come to individuals who got a third. A single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it, double it. Family of 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or adult dependents, you get it as well. More about these checks in prime time. I'll go over them more in detail tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. And remember, they would do this for 6 months. Now, let's go over the breaking news today, and there is a lot of it. The first element of breaking news comes from Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin, in a series of new interviews, says that he is ready as soon as the president lands back in the United States to get the Build Back Better Act passed. Am I putting much weight in his comments? Well, it just depends on how you look at it. First, the mindset is good. He wants to Build Back Better Act to pass. That's good. Number 2, what he wants in there, I'm not putting much weight in there. He doesn't call the shots. He's just one senator. So what does he want in there? He wants in there a tailored down version that deals with climate, that deals with prescription medication, and that deals with deficit reduction. He said those comments in a new dinner. Yeah, he went for a free meal at the American Clean Power Association. Ironically, he's speaking to climate people, so obviously he says he's going to tell them that he's getting some of their money in there because they're paying for his meal. So am I putting much weight in there? But here's what I'm really excited about is his Manchin's communications director, Sam Runyon, who's always running for the press. He remains seriously concerned, Manchin, about the financial status of our country and believes in fighting inflation, reforming fairness to our tax system is a priority. He's made it clear they can protect independent energy and blah, 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 blah. So my takeaway on it is that I'm excited that he's on point to get it done. He's not here to call the talking shots of what gets in there. Now, he's not saying those are the only provisions that go in there. Those are the ones that he wants in there. That's case in point number 1, the breaking news. The second element of breaking news, which is huge, is the mortgage industry is really taking the housing industry for a major hit. The housing industry or according to some analysts, may already be in stagflation. Stagflation is where the price of things go up and you don't make more money. In the case of the housing industry, it's like the cost of lumber goes up and you don't make more money on the house. So what's going on? Well, it started on Friday when we had a series of new economic reports that came out that said, guess what? Stagflation is really kicking in badly. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate went up 24 basis points to 5% on Friday. And guess how that's taken a hit on the housing industry? Fell 4.1% for the month of February compared to January. That's the 4th consecutive month of decline in sales. So there's a new talk about the Democrats to use this stagflation concern, this issue about the mortgage industry, to anchor it to get the recon done. Fascinating part across the board. They're using this part of the equation to help get the Build Back Better Act done. I'll stay on point on this and watch it in the coming days because, boy, it is fascinating. Because if the mortgage industry continues to unravel and if the housing industry heads into stagflation, then you're going to need that Build Back Better Act. Why? Because a lot of the provisions in Build Back Better are for homeowners, like the home repairs, the first-time home purchases, and more. It makes complete sense. The President of the United States is vowing to do another CR in the next few days that could potentially have a $2,000 stimulus check in there. That's in addition to Build Back Better. Why? He did not get any money for COVID from the last CR, which got county stimulus in there. So we'll watch when that happens across the board. The President of the United States made a major press release over the weekend about what he's doing this week. And boy, I was shocked when I read it. I had to do a double take. What he's going to introduce. He's going to introduce the billionaire's minimum tax income tax law. The president will propose a new 20% tax on billionaires called the Billionaires Minimum Income Tax that will raise $100 million, whose households are worth more than $100 million. This tax element will raise national revenue for the federal government. This minimum tax will make sure that the wealthiest Americans no longer pay a lower tax rate than teachers and firefighters, says the new document obtained by LA News. Why am I bringing this up right here in the recording? You know why if you've been watching this channel since day one. Liz Warren proposes. Liz Warren proposed what she called the wealth tax. Joe Biden's renamed it. A wealth tax to pay for the stimulus. Yes, remember that? Liz Warren proposed on the campaign trail, and then she had that YouTube video, which I used to show on this channel a lot. She said, do a wealth tax that'll pay for the redisbursement of that money for people on benefits. So what's the takeaway? Joe Biden doesn't say that this will all be used to reduce the national debt, but it will be part of his 2023 budget to be released this week that will trim the national deficit by $1.3 trillion over the next decade. Fascinating. Now remember, he can still get this done. And Joe Biden made that promise when running for president of the United States and in his platform at joebiden.com to swap COLA for inflation. Inflation is tracking its highest price point of a generation, 8%. December, 8%. January, likely more than 8% right now. Why do we know that? Because the bond traders are trading up the 10-year Treasury note higher than that benchmark, suggesting they think it's higher. So you want Joe to make the swap for COLA to inflation right now. If he did, it would raise your benefits up about $200 more per month right now. Not just this month, not just this year, a lifetime, a generation. Hashtag Joe make the call. Now, if he made that swap now, then if inflation tracked at 4% later this year, that would be another $100. That would be SS300. But what's at issue is this guy, Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve. His job is to reduce inflation. And how does he reduce inflation? By raising interest rates. Yes, by raising interest rates. And he does that over the next FOMC meetings, one per month over the next few weeks. Those FOMC meetings is one per month. And Jay Powell did his March one just about 7 days ago. Came in at a quarter basis point. Jay Powell has several choices. If he does a half basis point, that's more aggressive. That's called a hard landing. Soft landing is lighter. You do not want Jay Powell to hit inflation too hard, because guess what? It would fall dramatically if he raises those interest rates too aggressively. And if Joe made that swap from COLA to inflation later rather than earlier, we could be at issue. So let me give you my part of the analysis right now. There's two parts of this prong. First, when? I think we're fine if Joe makes that phone call right now or anytime in April, because guess what? The inflationary measures of Jay Powell by hitting interest rates higher would not swarm or swim into this economy by that date. I think we're fine in March. I think we're fine in April. Early April. What about late April? I think we're fine as well. It's May when it becomes problematic, because Jay Powell at that bruncheon, everyone's eating except me. Are you eating? At that bruncheon for the national economies said, we may have to do more than a quarter basis point, and we'll do a half basis point if so warranted. So he didn't say he would, but he signaled he may. That comes after those comments from Wallace and Boulard, his governors at the Federal Treasury, said that, at the Fed said that, what, we came in too weak on March. Quarter would not work. Now, there's another part of the analysis. The other part of the analysis is that a lot of Wall Street analysts and myself believe that Jay Powell does not have the tools. He does not have the tools to reduce inflation. Why? Because it's caused by supply chain disruption, and that supply chain disruption Jay Powell has nothing to do with. Let me give you an example, and it comes up later in this video. 6 stimulus later in this video talks about the farmers and your wheat. Guess what? The farmers are losing their shirts, even though their wheat prices are getting them more revenues when they sell their wheat. It's cost them a lot more money to produce it. Why? Because Vladimir Putin is the #1 exporter of manure. Yeah, you insert your joke right there. And if they can't get manure cheaper, then it costs them more money to harvest their wheat. They make less money. They're losing their shirts. So this is why we talk about stagflation. Because if Jay Powell comes in too hard and suddenly a farmer can't get manure, then guess what? Our economy contracts, it doesn't grow, and everything Jay Powell was trying to look for went the wrong direction. So I don't think Jay Powell has the tools to battle inflation. So I think we're fine with Joe making the call between now and late April. We will watch early May across the board. Fascinating series of events across the land today. Now, coming up later in this video, we're going to go over that sixth stimulus package. This is the trifecta of Germany, France, and the United States to get a major stimulus package out in April. All the latest details on this. This is for the American people, checks for the American people. This is the farming industry, the oil industry, the banking industry, and more. Then we'll be looking at the situation unfolding dramatically about what's happening with those recessionary concerns and why it impacts six stimulus. Seven stimulus delivered on this channel, debuted just a few days ago, is for student loan debt forgiveness. Teed up is a May 2nd deadline. The president's going to sign what he's going to do with those student loan debts on that May 2nd date. I have the latest details in the big second half. Then, of course, in the big second half is those four stimulus checks. They've landed $80,000 of them. And then those third stimulus checks for renters, huge checks monthly, averaging $2,000 a month for 12 months. I'm going to show you how to get them in the second half of this video. Then we'll have a preview of what's happening this coming week as the president returns to the shores of I was going to say the shores of California, to the shores of the United States. We're going to look at why the president, without Congress, is getting all these bodies of legislation done and is now teeing up other pieces of legislation. Fascinating. Great relief coming for you across the land. It's a big afternoon's recording. I'm going to have a preview of tonight's evening's LA coming up in prime time. Boy, you don't want to miss it. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. As the breaking news for today's afternoon's LA continues, we got a lot of other breaking news, and stay to the final 5 minutes of this video because we have some excitement coming up later in this video. Stay here. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues right now on a big afternoon. Boy, a lot of breaking news. Number one, Joe Manchin says he's ready to do the Build Back Better Act. And a series of new comments before an energy group, the Clean Energy Power Associations. He wants to do the Build Back Better Act, and negotiations are apparently back on. I'll be tracking that all this week. Meantime, with the mortgage and the housing industry really facing a potential stagflation, the Democrats are using that as a way to anchor Build Back Better to get passed. That, of course, would potentially have those monthly IRS MSC checks in there, says the legislators. CR getting another round at the money because guess what? The president got no money for COVID in that CR that passed 3 weeks ago, so he's going to introduce another piece of CR in the next few days. This is because he got no money for COVID in there. There could potentially have a stimulus check in there across the land. Then the Federal Reserve will be really giving us new indication of what's coming up next with those interest rates. But what I'm looking at for that SS300 is that Joe Biden legislation being introduced this week, the billionaires minimum income tax, that is a tongue twister, would raise revenue. Will some of that revenue be used for my seniors? That's what Liz Warren proposed. I believe he should. Will be staying on point with it It's a big proposal of legislation. Then let's turn to the surprise that came out of nowhere with that student loan debt forgiveness. This is 7 stimulus, and this is May 2nd. The date has been confirmed by the White House. By May 2nd, the White House would determine whether to forgive student loan debt or to extend a moratorium currently on the repayment of student loan debt. Let me explain what's going on. When COVID hit, put in place was a moratorium on repaying student loan debt. That moratorium meant you did not have to repay it while COVID was going on. So that moratorium is about to expire on May 2nd. With that date expiring, the White House's chief of staff, Ron Klain, in a series of new comments, says the president will make a determination by May 2nd whether he will forgive student loan debt or he's going to extend the moratorium. A new interview by John King with press, he's the education secretary under the Obama administration, says, 1, Joe Biden can forgive student loan debt. He has the authority to do it executively. And number 2, that he thinks he should. My part of the analysis is that Joe Biden should not fear to do student loan debt forgiveness because guess what? There's not enough Republicans to undo it. How would this work? If you gave student loan debt, forgave student loan debts, let's say it's $50,000, Republicans would have to introduce a bill to undo what the president did, and they don't have enough votes to pass it. So I think Joe Biden understands that because that has been what Liz and Chuck Schumer have been telling him across the board. That is the latest details on that 7 stimulus package. All right, let's turn to the breaking news about this map. This map is your 4 stimulus add-on. Build Back Better Act is not law yet. It is currently in the Senate. But an add-on to Build Back Better is law, passed by the United States President Joe Biden no less than 4 Fridays ago. It was done by the executive branch, not the legislative branch, and it pays out $15,000 to $80,000 checks. Absolutely incredible. How do you get these $15,000 to $80,000 of checks? What are they for, and can you get other checks if you're a renter? Yes, yes, and yes. Let's go over all the incredible details. Build Back Better Act is a bill. It's currently still in the Senate, not passed yet. That's what we were talking about earlier in this video. But the President of the United States did his add-on to Build Back Better by the executive branch 4 weeks ago. It's law. It's paid out. Viewers have gotten it. It pays out $15,000 to $80,000, and viewers are getting it or getting their applications complete or about to be funded, like Mark, who got $66,000 for this the other day ago. So how do you get it? You become a member. The link's at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. Let's go over the details. First, how much is it? $15,000 to $80,000. Is it law? Yes. Is it paying out? Yes. Have people gotten it? Yes. And is it different than Build Back? Yeah, because it was done by the executive branch, not done by the legislative branch. How much do you get paid? It is $15,000 to $80,000 per household. Wow. Who gets it? Single individual, $75,000 or less annual income, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you can get it as well if that's your annual income. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, rural benefits, veterans benefits, you can get it as well. Huge. So how do you get it? You become a member. That membership newsletter goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. It shows you and walks you through how to get approved. Let's go over the details. First, the membership newsletter features the whole name of the program. It's longer than the homeowner's grant, but that's the name I use in this video. Then, it gives you the link to apply. You go right into the national website, which routes you to your state, and you apply. You don't want to wait. You don't want to wait to become a member. You don't wait to apply, because every day you wait, thousands of people in your state get in front of you. Number 3, it pays out $15,000 to $80,000 per household. So the household has 4 people. You don't quadruple it. That's total per household. And it's huge. It's a grant, meaning you don't have to repay it. It's not income because it's a grant. It's not a credit check because it's not a loan. Just go and get it. Don't think too long about it. Just get your application on file. Now, this has one last requirement. That you're a homeowner. Yes, that you're a homeowner. If you're not a homeowner, don't worry, because I got money for renters in just a second. This is $15,000 to $80,000. The 4 stimulus, it's an add-on, it's law, and it pays out $15,000 to $80,000. It's been live for 4 weeks. Eventually, states will run out of the funds, so don't wait around, don't sit around. Every state, when it went live, paid out. And every day that we sit around, we will potentially lose out. That's why you have to pounce as a Purple Hawk, expression coined by me on this channel. You pounce as soon as something goes live. As soon as it was announced by the President of the United States 4 Fridays ago, guess who had the breaking news? I did. Guess who else had it? No one else. It was covered nowhere else, and it's likely never to get covered. And immediately I featured it in the membership newsletter that Friday and every date thereafter. So you don't want to miss this money. It's not around indefinitely. Again, this is the fourth stimulus add-on, $15,000 to $80,000, called the Homeowners Grant for purposes of this video. It's all in the membership newsletter. So where's that membership newsletter? It's delivered Monday through Friday via the YouTube alert system. Not by email, not by waivable check, not by waivable lobster shorts. Oh, that's awful visual. It's delivered via the YouTube alert system. Go to the front of this YouTube channel and make sure you have all notifications set on all, not preferred or personal. Make sure it's set to all. Then at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you get that incredible newsletter, as thousands and thousands of members get every single day, Monday through Friday. Now, also in that newsletter is those third stimulus checks, MSCs, and let's go over the incredible great news about this. This is for both renters and homeowners. Third stimulus MSC checks have landed, and this is in addition to those other checks. Third stimulus became law last year with a $14 stimulus check, which you likely got. But in recent days, the membership of this channel has gone back and gotten other sums of money from rent, utilities, mortgages, and more, bringing themselves their own additional MSC check. Let's take it down a notch. First, this is addition to everything else covered in this channel, everything else covered in this video. This is additional sums of money. Second, how much are people getting paid? Average of $2,000 a month for 12 months. It's absolutely incredible. Third, is this addition to the Build Back Better MSC checks? It is. Those are sent out from IRS. These are sent out from your state, county, city, host, housing authority, and similar. How do you get it? Same way. You open that membership newsletter, go down in there, and I'll feature the third stimulus MSC checks. You want to learn about where to reach out to. 6 places and several other places for the nonprofits. Reach out and get those big sums of money because they're available right now. Let me tell you some success stories. The success stories, one came in overnight from March 27, 2022, was just, well, I have to change the screen name. A screen name, I don't know how it passed the word filters. It's a little seductive. I didn't want to say salacious. It's not salacious, seductive. So I don't want to say the screen name. It's at the dance club you would see a screen name like this. So this screen name, which I'll just say is the letters JDM, you can figure out what it said. That's the new rosebud of today's video. What did it stand for? JDM. I'm just gonna say is that. I will be in close to $20,000 of rent and utilities. I did it, and it was great. This is JDM. So congratulations, JDM. $20,000. So get that incredible membership newsletter. Get those big sums of money. Corey got $14,000 over 14 months there, and that is on the 25th of March. Daniel got $60,000. He's on SSI. That is huge. William J got $10,000. That was also that day. If you missed that March 25th Evenings LA live broadcast, Evenings LA live chat, we had 3 viewers that you just saw them: Corey, William J, and Daniel getting $100,000. 3 viewers, $100,000 in 3 minutes. It was incredible. Collectively, we have the wonderful Lindsay Ramirez, who got 12 months at $1,500 checks. Just days earlier, we had Johnny Horvath getting $26,000 on 8 months of those items. So get that incredible membership newsletter. Get those third MSC checks. All right, let's go to the next part of the breaking details today as well, which is that 6 stimulus. 6 stimulus heats up April. Why? It's a progressive trifecta. Joe Biden in the United States, Macron in France, and the Chancellor in Germany. They had met with Anthony Blinken week 2 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and Blinken said to those progressive leaders overseas, we need to do something as a team. Another package. And they said, why? He said, you got to get off of those Russian products. They said, we're not getting off those Russian products. Then he really convinced them it was a moral obligation to get off those Russian products. And so then they agreed to the trifecta alliance of basically a major 6 stimulus package. That's an expression I coin on this channel. They don't use those wording, in which they raise their national debt to then spend money on their citizens. Let's go over the analysis. Gasoline, unsustainable at these current levels. Continues at these levels through the month of May, we go into recession. Wheat and grain, unsustainable at these levels. Continues into May, we go into recession. The banking industry likely to report major corporate losses in Q3 and Q4 corporate earnings just a few days. Why? Because exposure to Russian debt. This is all things you can't let sitting around. And if you let sitting around, guess what? We go into recession. And no president wants a recession to start during his term. So this is what's at issue. Let's give you an example of what's happening right now. Brent crude today for March 27th, $122 a barrel. Very high, very, very high. I think the highest we had was last Thursday at 127. U.S. national gasoline at the pump average from AAA $4.24. It's been staying right at that, $4.25, $4.29 for week after week. This is not sustainable. That's the average for unleaded regular. So some people do more than that. Then the details on the wheat prices, if you remember this channel, I hope you are, the membership links at the top of the chat, the wheat prices are just tracking just horribly. 10-year highs. Here's the wheat prices right now. The May 2022 contract on wheat is up 16 to 2,102. And then the corn is up $5 to $7.54 just today. It's up astronomically in the last week. These are 10-year highs. What does this mean? You go to the gas pump, you can't afford the gasoline, recession. You go to the supermarket, you can't afford the bread, recession. So to solve it, you have to domestically spend, and it is a trifecta. Let's go over the analysis. First, Germany, France, and the United States will do these big spending packages where they use their national debt and raise it a little bit to then give out that economic relief. Then you're going to see stuff from Congress, as you saw last week, as Congress proposed a $100 stimulus check for gasoline, which is a joke. I mean, that's for some people, that's not even a quarter of the gas tank one time. It doesn't really, it's illogical. Then you're going to already see governors. As soon as I debuted Six Stimulus on this channel, I think it was on March 8th, that night, countless governors across the country, Republican Democrats, unveiled their Six Stimulus. They won't call it Six Stimulus, but it's all the same nuance. You can't afford where we are. We have to do these things across the land. So let me go over the analysis of each of those prongs one at a time. Now you understand the severity of it. What was it caused? What is Six Stimulus? Let's go over the analysis of Six Stimulus. First stimulus was for COVID. Second stimulus was to be for COVID. It didn't become a law. Third stimulus was coming out of COVID. Fourth stimulus coming out of COVID. Fifth stimulus for seniors and people on disabilities. Then sixth stimulus is because of Putin. Seventh stimulus is for student loan debt forgiveness. A lot of stimulus packages overlapping at the same time. When we look at this sixth stimulus package, you cannot have Putin cause international disruption of economies, because guess what? If that disruption continues, we go into recession. And that recession is not going to be good. So let's go over all the equations at issue. Here's what you need to know. First, the reporting this channel for nearly 4 weeks was confirmed by the White House overseas and domestically in the last 48 hours. I had always told you Six Stimulus was going to pass because there's several elements at issue. Number one, wheat. Number two, oil. Number three, China. Let's start with China. The Treasury Secretary Joe Biden appeared on broadcast news in the last 48 hours and was asked whether China will be subjected to U.S. sanctions as part of this new economic policy. She said no. Obviously, that's the correct answer. Why no? Because at issue is whether China will give $1 to Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, head of Russia, has asked for China Xi, his closest buddy, to give him money to undo our U.S. sanctions against him and those Western allies against Vladimir Putin. China did not give it, but did confirm the request. Janet Yellen, when asked about this last 48 hours, said, yeah, we're watching it very carefully. But at the moment, it hasn't happened. So we're not doing anything. Good. Now, remember, if Xi gives $1 to Vladimir Putin, which, in my opinion, if this war goes on for many months, of course he's going to give him money. Vladimir Putin has a $2 billion debt repayment on April 4th. There's that April date again. And he's not going to make the debt. What's going to happen? His economy is going to go under? Of course not. He's going to ask Xi for money. And if he does, then guess what? The U.S. will come in with those Western allies and sanction China. And this could send us into a major recession, because guess what? China is a major economy, and we have a lot of dependency and interdependency on China. So that would be the first issue. That's the latest breaking news about China, and there, of course, is the map of China. The second breaking news is that wheat. I had told you that the wheat has been the silent the silent illness of the sixth stimulus package, and that I was shocked that no one in the White House was talking about it day after day, week after week. Well, it must have been the case that someone on the White House team was watching this channel, because guess what? After no less than 2 months of recordings where I was saying you got to solve the wheat problem caused by Vladimir Putin under sixth stimulus, finally the White House actually addressed the situation. Didn't do it completely, but did a first address of it. In meeting with those world leaders overseas, he said that Vladimir Putin has disrupted wheat. Thank goodness he acknowledged the problem. Number one. Number two, he understood who's impacted worse. First, the starvation issue. You don't have food. You starve to death. Is the Middle East and Asia. They don't have wheat because it comes from Ukraine. Ukraine's farmers can't harvest it, so now they're going to starve. So he's reallocating services from the United States, our wheat, overseas. Good. Our farmers make more money. You like this. The other part of the equation he hasn't addressed just yet is that our farmers cannot survive. Let me explain to you the situation. It's very problematic wheat. It's a very confusing situation. You would say you just solved the wheat crisis, as I would said. Actually, I did say it, day one of the invasion. You just solve the wheat crisis by giving farmers more money to ramp up production. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Why? Because the farmers are apparently losing their shirts right now. On the revenue side, they're making more money because when they go to sell their wheat, there's less wheat internationally, so they can sell it for a lot more money. You would think they're making more money on the bottom line. They're actually losing money. Why? Because their fertilizer comes from Vladimir Putin, and that has gone through the roof, so has the price of oil. And so suddenly they're making more revenue, but the costs have gone through the roof. They're losing their shirts. So the president needs to solve this situation across the land as well. Then on the oil front, big news across this land, LNG, which is natural gas, is provided by Russia to our partner allies. So the president of the United States, again getting America first, a new solution. He got a major deal with the European community in Brussels so that the European community will no longer buy LNG, natural gas, from Russia. Guess who they'll buy it from? Us. Yes, congratulations. So our U.S. workers will make more money. Our unions will make more money. Our natural gas producers will make more money. Will be a better economy. How long is this deal? To 2030. Wow, incredible. And that deal was heralded and applauded by the European community. Now, it does not solve the situation of gasoline at the pump. Gasoline at the pump is a different solution, and that one comes on the heels of that Iranian deal. That Iranian deal, anchored again, done by the presidents, again, will float that Iranian oil back into our circulation and our partner allies starting in April through May. If they sign it, the deal has not still been signed, so everyone's a little bit tense here, as I am as well. Iran was subjected to 15 years of sanctions because of their growing proliferation of nuclear warheads. So they got Iran to agree to stop it, and in exchange for that, the floating of their oil back into circulation. This will bring the price of gasoline to its lowest price point of a generation. I'll feature more about this on Evenings LA tonight, but boy, this is big. Now, why is that oil going to these massive high numbers? It's because there's a lot of concerns that these things are a little slow in coming. Let me tell you what's all going on, and this sort of tees it up all together. Sixth stimulus has to be done really quickly, folks. It has to be done really quickly. If it's not done by May, we go into recession. You got to fix oil. You got to fix wheat. You got to get out money to the American people. You got to get out money to our partner allies, because guess what? If you don't, we all go into recession. Let's look at the analysis. It's not enough to say, hey, I'm sending some wheat to Africa and Egypt. That's good, but that's a lot more to do than that. Why? Because if you go to the market and pay $7 a loaf for bread, and you see it one day, you may afford it one day, but you can't afford it every single day through May. We go into recession. So that's domestically. We have to solve wheat. We have to solve oil. We have to solve the banking industry. What's with the banking industry? The banking industry may take massive corporate earnings losses. Banks could close because their line items in Russia are unknown at the moment. Those corporate banks are about to report their earnings, Q2, Q3, Q4. When we see those line item losses because they had Russian debt investments, boy, they could be severe. What's at issue? Vladimir Putin's economy is going from number 10 on the globe to the worst in the globe in just a few weeks. He's becoming the next Cuba. And his banks and his debt and his equities are becoming valueless. Moreover, he's likely to default on April 4th, unable to make that principal loan repayment. This is, again, another part of the sixth stimulus package. You got to solve wheat, oil, and the banking industry. Not just here, That's number one, but also for our partner allies. Because if you don't solve it for our partner allies and they go into recession, we go into recession as well. A lot to be done, and it's sure a short period of time. So let's make note of why it's so important across the land. If there was one thing I taught you really well in the thick of the pandemic of 2020 was when there's money available, get the money. I don't care what it is. If you qualify for it, get it. And that's why the viewership of this channel has done so well and the viewership has surged and the numbers have gone up so much in recent weeks and certainly this month. You want to go to the top of the channel, become a member, get that membership newsletter money through Friday. Why? If cash is available, you grab the cash. I got to tell you, folks, you saw in this video alone, we have third stimulus, fourth stimulus, fifth stimulus, sixth stimulus, seventh stimulus, all happening at the same time. All happening at the same time. So if you see one item in one stimulus package that you really like, and you absolutely just can't wait for it to come, I know which one you're maybe thinking about, don't do that, because there's a lot of stimulus packages to be done at the same time. They have a lot of deadlines. They're overlapping. Sixth stimulus, early April. The sixth stimulus, which is, of course, the Putin, the recession stimulus. Then we have the student loan debt forgiveness, the seventh stimulus, which is May 2nd. We have the billionaire's tax, which just came out of nowhere, which potentially could be that fifth stimulus providing the funds. We don't know if it is or isn't. That is heating up, of course, also with Jay Powell with his reducing of inflation by the minute. We have fourth stimulus paying out right now with those $80,000 of checks. Have you got to become a member? We have third stimulus paying out these reoccurring checks every month of $2,000 on average over 12 months. Viewers getting these big MSC checks, and I want you to get as well. So it's important to understand when there's a lot of things overlapping, you got to get them across the land. What am I looking for this week? There's a lot of things I'm looking for. First, I want to see that CR that the president's talking about, that additional bill for COVID. Haven't seen it yet, so I want to see that, number one. Number two, I'm not saying one's more important. I'm just giving you a list. Number two, I want to see if Jay Powell pivots again from his comments about that 50 basis point. That 50 basis point was such a, in my opinion, was sort of a vague statement. Wall Street took it a more definitive statement. I looked at the verb tenses and the adverbs. It looked very vague. Might do 50 basis point, may not. Guess what? If it's vague, then I'm fine. I'm also very concerned about this banking industry. I'm very concerned about this 10-year Treasury note. If the 10-year Treasury rate continues to surge and the housing sales continue to slump, this is big stagflation. Then I want to look and see how quickly this sixth stimulus package is teed up. I want to see the latest negotiations between the president and Joe Manchin on that fourth stimulus Build Back Better recon. I also want to see what is going on with this millionaire's tax, which is really fascinating across the board. And I also want to see what's going on with you. So I look forward to seeing you all this week. And don't miss our big show in prime time. Evenings are light. It's 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And if you want the big analysis, if you want the big checks, if you want to know about every single check one at a time, broken down with incredible detail, that is the show you tune in for. Right now, paying out today, third stimulus, fourth stimulus. Next to pay out is potentially the, it could be Build Back Better, could be next. It could be sixth stimulus at the same time. A lot of things overlapping at the same time. The CR could be heating up as well. And then, of course, that student loan debt forgiveness about 30 days away from now. A lot of things in the next 30 days. You don't want to tune away. Finally, a message to you. When those $80,000 checks went live 4 weeks ago, it was very important at the time that you were watching. And when they went live, I immediately said what I said day one of them. It's just like EIDL, it's just like PUA, it's just like UI, just like all the first stimulus items. They're live, they're big checks, huge checks, $80,000 of checks. $600 stimulus check, $80,000. There's a big difference. It's a big difference. You might be able to survive an entire year on $80,000. Can you survive an entire year on $600? No, you can't. And when it goes live, you have to pounce because they're not live indefinitely. For viewers who did, they got their application on file right away. For viewers who had served, maybe took off 4 days and came back and said, what I missed? Oh, we had $80,000 checks. What? And then they went and said, oh, no. Yeah, you don't want to wait. That's why you have to tune in every day to every video of this channel. like the billionaire's tax, like the breaking details about the wheat and grain, like the latest details about six stimulus, like the latest details about what's going on with Joe Manchin, Build Back Better. There's something that happens every single day, and I don't repeat what happened the day before. If you've seen in recent days, the notes that I bring on set are voluminous, hundreds and hundreds of pages of notes. And if it happened the day before, you're likely to miss it. So I don't want you to miss any check. Tune in tonight for an evening's LALATE you're not going to want to miss again as well. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Meantime, if you haven't become a member, become a member. Congratulations to all the thousands of new members on this channel. The membership link is at the top of the channel, the pinned comment. Members are cleaning up, and you should as well. Become a member. Learn about all those big checks, those $2,000 for 12-month average checks that viewers are getting from third stimulus. Learn about these $15,000 to $80,000 of checks. Not just learn, get them. Not just learn about them or hear about them, get them. Become a member, and become a member of the largest, fastest growing community with the #1 show in primetime, Evenings LALATE. And with that, have a beautiful day and have a beautiful week. We have a lot coming up across the board. Stay informed, stay focused. Thank you for joining me, and join me on the hour, by the hour, with every breaking news story you want to know, you want to get, and you want to cash. It's a big day. It's a big week. It's going to be a big month. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LALATE for more.